take up arms against her enemies. Soon after, Zakhar travelled to the rebel republics of Donbas in eastern Ukraine and became the deputy commander of a rebel battalion. In 2020, like his hero, the radical writer and National Bolshevik Party founder Eduard Limonov, Zakhar founded a political party of his own. Its vision was of a manly, belligerent Russia whose destiny it was to purge the world of decadence through war. Zakhar's views may have been poisonous and insane and were undoubtedly dangerous, but they were sincerely held, and unlike many armchair patriots in the Russian elite who spend most of their time plundering the country they professed to love, Prilepin actually risked his skin for his beliefs. He was once my friend. Now, I suppose, he has become a kind of honest enemy. I start this story with Zakhar for two reasons. One is that I am interested in what he will do next. Currently, the Kremlin is riding the tiger of orthodox-fueled ultranationalism that until relatively recently had lurked on the lunatic fringes of Russian politics. What will happen if Putin falters, either through military failure in the field or by losing his grip on the Russian elite or security services? If that were to occur, Zakhar's vision of his country as a kind of new Sparta, implacable, militant, and fired with holy righteousness, could be a terrifying glimpse into one of Russia's possible futures. The second reason I mention Zakhar is his refusal of my invitation to meet. I never found out his reasons. Perhaps he was nervous of being caught talking to someone who could be presented as a Western spy. Perhaps he thought I had become a Western spy. Perhaps he assumed that I was being tailed by the Federal Security Service, or FSB. Perhaps he thought he was. Perhaps he was afraid of hearing a different version of events from me that would shake his faith in his belief that Russian Orthodox warriors were battling Ukrainian Nazis, admittedly unlikely. Whatever his reasons, Zakhar had clearly caught a dose of the pervasive paranoia of the times. It was a paranoia shared by the majority of my Moscow friends, colleagues, and contacts. In the days following the beginning of the war, it covered the city as quickly and obtrusively as the peat fire smog that blankets Russia's capital every summer. And like smoke, paranoia's lingering smell was pervasive and impossible to avoid. I have spent, on and off, 27 years reporting in Russia, first as a metro and features reporter for the Moscow Times, and then as a correspondent and Moscow bureau chief for Newsweek magazine. In over a quarter of a century, a total of perhaps half a dozen people refused to speak to me because I was a foreigner or because they feared repercussions from the authorities. That changed dramatically after the beginning of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, or, more specifically, after the State Duma passed a law in early March making the, quote, dissemination of false news about the Russian military punishable with up to 15 years in prison. Soon afterwards, the Duma also redefined an existing law on foreign agents to include not just Russian individuals and organizations who actually received funding from abroad, but also those who had come, quote, under foreign influence. Weekly lists of new foreign agents were published and soon came to include almost every non-Kremlin-aligned journalist, broadcaster, blogger, and analyst. To my shock, when I began reporting this book in the first days of the war, friends and contacts whom I had known for years and decades told me that they could not risk meeting in public or speaking on the record. Even pro-Kremlin officials, both current and retired, as well as prominent patriotic media and political figures, grew cautious to the point of absurdity. Many sources refused to meet me in public places where they would be recognized speaking to a foreign reporter, and many of the most revealing conversations took place at the dinner tables, dachas, or, in classic Soviet style, the kitchens.